Here we are at the Tarkine Forest, and I thought I'd do this podcast in the forest because I want you to see where we are. It's just spectacular, absolutely amazing. These trees, wow, what they've taught me already has been incredible. And so let's just have a look first. There's that blackbird with the white tail. Have a look here, look at the mushrooms. How cool are they? The colours, what I've been told, and what I'm going to say in this podcast is going to probably devalue me with a lot of people, because you've got to have the notion at first that we can be channeled by other living things. You know, I mean, that's a notion in itself. And so it all started at Lake Chisholm, which is here's a tree fern. So this tree fern, it takes 30 years to establish the base. And then every centimetre it grows after that, it takes a year. And so this one would be over 100 years old. You see how it's harmoniously joined on with the tree? Everything in this forest is harmonious. Check it out. It's just amazing. Look at those trees down there. Can you see? I reckon you can. Hope you're not getting vertigo with me walking. I mean, look at this tree. Look at that. Look at that, right up. So this whole land is really spongy to walk on. It's like there's holes everywhere. There's what we see here forming are potholes. And so what happens is these big trees send a root down, and then they come to a cavern area of water, and the tree ends up dying, and these big holes are left everywhere. And so we have a look, see how there's these big holes. I could probably just tilt the screen. There we go. Have a look there. See, that's just formed all by itself. There's a tree fern growing out of the earth there. Look at it. Just keeps going. Now there's an ancient tree in here that called me to it a few days ago, which is where I'm going to do the teachings today. I mean, this is just mind-blowing. I'll try not to talk too much so you can hear. Just want to show you this tree. Look at that. I mean, that's just incredible. So I've got to be careful walking in places like this, because I could drop down into a hole. So I try to stick on the path mostly, because it's harder ground and I know I'm not going to fall through any holes. There are established tracks out here for walkers. It's quite a remote area of Tassie. We're in Western Tassie. We're just coming to the end of the Tarkine Forest. And so I'm back on the path now. Here's another sinkhole. You can see that man's tried to get in here with their cars. Oh, there's a tree over there. But nature has the final say here. Okay. So there's a tree in here that's going to provide the teachings today. I thought it was that one, but it's not. It's incredible. You can get lost in here for hours, which I do. New tree ferns. So see how they're just establishing their base? So they could be like 20 years old. Old trees, limbs that have fallen. See how the buttress is really quite large at the bottom. So it's the dead one. Have a look at the mushrooms. How cool is that mushroom setup? It's like a little colony. It's just mind-blowing. Oh. We'll keep going until a tree offers to share some info, and you can see where the branches have come down and new life begins to grow on it. I mean, that's incredible. Here's where we're going to sit. Okay. Okay. I'll leave you guys looking at the forest because it's just so beautiful. Whereabouts do you want to look? Maybe back that way. Alright, I can put you down now. Okay. Alright, we can go there. Okay, teachings. Alright, so Lake Chisholm. We're in Lake Chisholm, and as we're walking and connecting with the trees, the information that I gathered was that they carry all the wisdom and the ability to tell us whatever we need. Wait a minute, this tree over here is shouting for us. And so when I started to ask some questions, as you do, when you're told that you're with a living being that has all the answers. And so I asked them about their soul, and they explained to me that unlike us, well, I shouldn't say unlike us because that's not true that we are even like that, but what they said was that they don't have a soul. They're not separate. They're actually, they don't contain a soul or spirit solely within them. They're a part of everything around them. And so that got me thinking, if they're just one with spirit, because the next thing they said was that they're just a carbon printout of the expression of the spirit that lives here. And so all of this information is quite interesting in the fact that if that's the case with trees, maybe that's the case with us as well. That we don't actually contain our spirit. That we're actually one with everything surrounding us, but maybe through our conceptualization, we've separated ourselves into one soul. Maybe like the Buddhists say, the soul doesn't exist, only spirit exists, and spirit exists in life form everywhere. Maybe the ancient teachings have told us all the answers, and we just need to remember what they've said. And so I'm also reading a book by Sadhguru, a Death, an Inside Story. And what he's saying this great meditation in that what you do to find out who you truly are is that you get in that relaxed state where you're totally observant within, and you observe what is not you. Okay, and so in the meditation what you're doing is you're observing what is not you. And so as I played with this meditation over the last few days, I discovered that all the physical sensations in my body were not me. And they were just part of this physical body I travel within. And then I went a step further and thought, I'm the observer of these sensations. But then I got taken the next step, and I'm not actually I thought, well, who's the observer? And so I watched again, and I found myself hovering between the physical and the space around me. And I realised that the observer was the one receiving the sensations messages in the body and transmitting them into cognitive meaning. And what that means is, so if my knee was hurting while I was sitting there and I observed that was still the physical body's central nervous system responding to a stimulation in the body. It was still part of the mechanisms of this physical body. And so going that next layer, I felt the energy that exists between my skin, my body that I'm in, and the air around me. And I found a force field of energy. And so then I thought, that's where I lie. My soul is in that energy that where the body touches the air. But again, it's still a sensation. It's a physical thing. And so according to the trees, that still isn't the soul, the spirit. And so this morning I had a breakthrough, and I realised that it isn't physical. I'm not going to be able to feel the soul or spirit. So to use that line of investigation through feeling isn't how I'm going to find the true me, the true soul, the true spirit. And so that's where I'm up to in the meditation. But do it for yourself, you'll have your own little journey for your karmic, life that you're in, of what you need to discover. And so this has all come about by being in the trees, being at one with this ancient forest. I mean, this forest here is protected. No one's allowed to cut in and cut anything down. They've got potholes everywhere, and so even for machinery to get in is quite dangerous. And the bridge right next to where we're camping actually had a big storm hit it not long ago and is in a state of disrepair and possibly getting closed. And so the forest here is the true boss of this area, so to speak. You know, it holds the balance, whereas in our environments it tends to be man that holds the balance in our concrete jungles. And so if you're having any issues about anything, I highly, highly advise you go into some forest somewhere, some bush somewhere, and just connect with the trees. And so how did I do it? First of all, I would put my hands up against them, lean against them, but then they told me that they don't like me pushing myself up against them. You know, they've got a microorganism, a whole ecosystem happening on the layer of their trees, and so for me to come up and push against it is destroying that whole harmony and balance. So now as I approach a tree, I ask if I can approach. I ask where it is that I need to place my hands or my body, and they instruct me in how to connect with them. Often they'll tell me just to sit below them, and that's enough, and that I can connect just by being near them. And it's getting to the stage walking through the forest now where their communication is becoming very clear, very, very exact. I'm told when to stop, I'm told when to come over, I'm told when to listen, I'm told when to watch. Everything has been instructed really clearly as I become more one with this ancient forest. And so I just wanted to share the teachings of what I'm learning, and I'm just blown away by it. It just makes sense. You know, I mean, I've asked the tree so many questions, like about people and our future and all sorts of things, and they've been very direct in their answering. But I'll leave that for you to discover. Okay.